Hey gang, Richard Bliss Brooke here from Bliss Ranch in the foothills below Yosemite. Today we're going to talk about 4 exciting and critical coaching conversations. Coaching I think is one of the most important skills that any of us can have in leadership. And I think a lot of people think, well, to be a coach, you got to go through some sort of certification program. You got to have a lot of training. You got to do all that kind of stuff. I'm going to give you a different viewpoint of it today. I think all of us in business, if we have partners, if we have sales force, if we have employees, we're all coaches. So I'm going to talk about 4 different coaching conversations today and how any of you can embark on those conversations and lift people up around you and get people to see some truth and get people in action. So at the end of this session, I'd love to hear where each one of you are from. But for now, we'll get right into it. So coaching. So think about this from the standpoint of what we're all looking to do in life and business. That, at least those people that are tapped into a video like this, you're looking to accomplish more in your life and your business, right? You're looking to accomplish more with your health, with your family, with your relationships, with your income, with your wealth, with your business, with your social interactions, with your contribution to your community. We're all looking to accomplish more. So where does coaching come into that conversation? Well, how about simply this, that, if we as individuals knew how to, but better expressed, if we had the internal horsepower, if we had the questions and we had the answers and we had the motivation and we had the accountability and we had, some people like commitment and discipline, if we had all of that kind of stuff, well, then we would just set our sights on anything we wanted to do, and we'd just stay in massive action until we got it done, and then we'd decide something else to do. And what you might notice about the world is there's about 3% of us, about 3 out of 100 people, that they're what I call the naturally self-motivated people, that they can do that. Anything they want to do, they have nothing but green lights in their head. They make up creative interpretations. I can do that. This will work out. This person will partner with me. I'm going to get this person involved. I'm going to hire this great person. I'm going to develop this great product. So, and then they just get in action doing it, right? But the 97% of us, we can't get out of our own way. What is that? And what does that look like? Well, we got conversations in our head that sound like, oh, what if I fail? What if they don't? What if I can't? All those rhetorical questions. And, then we also, have conversations like nobody will listen to me and, I'm not enough and, I don't deserve that. And, what would I do with a great big house? How would I keep it clean? And crazy stuff like that. So what do we need? Well, we need somebody to coach us, so look around the world in business, in athletics, in anything. Look at your kids. When you want your kids to do something extraordinary in athletics or the arts or anything, what do? You hire them a coach. I mean, athletics is probably the number one example of coaching. And I want to tell you one of my favorite coaching stories as it applies to athletics, and then we'll get into these 4 exciting and critical conversations. So this is a story told to me by Lou Tice, who was one of my coaches many, many years ago, really introduced me to a lot of the ways that I think today and the distinctions that I have. And so he told this story. I've never forgot it. It's just an amazing coaching story. So I don't know if it was Lou Tice who was the coach. I don't think so, because he was a high school football coach. But this was a story about a track coach and a track star or wannabe star. And so the track star, I'll just make this really quick. I won't give it all the drama. This could be a 20-minute story, but I'll make it a 2-minute story. So the track star, he declares, I want to, be the greatest. I want to win this big track meet. It's a big, big deal, a year away from now or something. And so, he's got this track coach, and they train, and all this kind of stuff. And then the day of the meet, the day of the meet happens, and of course, all the world's best competition is there. So, it's not like practice. It's different, Guess what? They all want to win too. Guess what? They've all been practicing too all year. Guess what? They're all the best in the world. So winning is not a foregone conclusion. So it's a little tougher than practice in the heat of the game like that. So the race goes on, and round and round and round the track they go, and I don't know, it's, 4 or 5 laps or something before the end of the race, and this track star who wants to be the greatest and wants to have all these things, he peels off the track into the infield and takes a knee. And the race isn't over yet. So the coach runs out and says, hey, what's going on? And the track star says, I'm so tired. It hurts so much. I can't go on, And so the coach, this is where I insert this. He brings out a tray of cheese to go with the wine of the track star. And so, whatever, he listens to him a little bit. And so then the coach starts coaching, and he asks the question. He says, well, what do you want? And you want to just quit? Let's go. Let's just walk off the field. And the track star says, no, I want to be the greatest. I want to win the race. This is what I want. But here I am in the infield on a knee whining about how hard it is. So this is one of the most profound. This isn't a question. Most of my coaching around coaching is asking a question. So the coach has already asked a few questions, but then he makes a profound statement to the track star. Well, if that's what you want, then shut up and run. That's the kind of stuff coaches do. So let's talk about the 4 exciting and profound conversations that you can have as a coach. So the first one is a conversation about the person that you're looking to coach, about their state of being. And let me give broad brush context to this. You can't coach somebody that hasn't given you permission to coach. So just because you're in a higher position than them, or you make more money than them, or you've been around longer than them, or maybe you have more responsibility or more authority from them, that doesn't mean you can coach them. Coaching is a conversation. It's not an authoritative relationship. It is a series of inquiries, and then they end in a series of requests. And by nature, when you ask people questions about themselves and about their thoughts, well, they don't necessarily have to answer those questions. And they certainly don't have to say yes to your request, unless, I guess, they are an employee. Then I guess they have to, or you can fire them. But they still don't have to. So it's a conversation, and you got to have permission to have it. So one of the first conversations you might have with anybody in your life that you're thinking you might want to step in and coach is whether or not you have permission to have that conversation. And I wouldn't use the word coaching. I wouldn't ask somebody, do I have permission to coach you? You might just ask people, hey, are you up for a conversation? Are you up for a heart-to-heart conversation? Are you up for an honest conversation? Like, can I ask you some questions, and will you tell me the truth? Like that. And, most people, if they're up to something and they're struggling, they'll say yes to that, especially if they trust and respect you. So that's the context. Somebody says, okay, let's have this conversation. So then what's the first inquiry that you make? And coaching for me is all about an inquiry. It's all about questions. This isn't mentorship. Coaching is not mentorship, at least how I teach it. Those two could be synonymous in a lot of different worlds, but mentorship, being an advisor, being a consultant, that's telling people what to do. Coaching, the way I've seen it work the best in our world, is not telling people what to do. There is a time for that, but that's not coaching. Coaching is an inquiry. I call it the conversation. It's a conversation with somebody. It's an inquiry. It's an uncovering. It's a discovery process. It's bringing light where there's darkness. It's you as the coach bringing your light into someone's darkness, but not by telling them how life is, but by asking them how life is. So the first inquiry is about their state of being. And some of you noticed that I call myself an ontological coach, and a lot of people have asked, well, what is that? And that's why I actually call myself an ontological coach on my business card, because it causes people to ask, what is that? Works pretty good. Now, don't all of you try it, because I want to be the only ontological coach in the world. There's a lot of them. Google it. So I guess we've all figured out that if we put ontological in front of our name, people ask us what that is. So it's a good marketing tool. But basically, what is ontological coaching as opposed to other kind of coaching? It's coaching people to a different state of being. So many of you are familiar with somebody like Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is an ontological coach, may not call himself that, but he coaches people to a different state of being. And primarily how Tony does it is through physical action, which is a way to get people into a different state by their voice, their declaration, and jumping up and down and yelling and screaming. Changes people's state immediately. You can change your state immediately every morning. Kimmy has this, famous practice where she jumps up and down, and says, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited, and changes her state. There's another more delicate, more graceful, more appropriate in a lot of different circumstances way to change somebody's state, and that's to have a conversation with them, an inquiry, and bring light into where there's darkness. So what does this sound like when you're coaching somebody on their state of being? It just sounds like some questions. There's not a book of them. It wouldn't serve you to have a book of questions. It would serve you to just understand the intent, like what are you looking to do in the conversation, and trust your intuition. And so the conversation might sound like, if you and I are having a conversation, I just might ask you, so how do you feel? Like, what's going on with you? And what I want to start with is how you feel. And so maybe you're frustrated. So like, I'm looking for some clear declaration, some clear, concise word where you go, yeah, that's me. I'm frustrated. Or maybe you're sad. Or maybe you're angry. Or maybe you're apathetic, I just don't care. You know how you get in that place? I don't care about this. I don't care about anything. I just want to curl up in a ball and watch TV. Or maybe you're full of joy. Maybe you're feeling ambitious. Maybe you're feeling confident. Maybe you're like King Kong or Wonder Woman and you're ready to conquer the world. You're totally on fire. Maybe you're feeling grateful. So those are all states of being. And so when you have a sense of what the state of being is, then what you want to do is understanding how people get in a state. People get in a state from a conversation. They have a conversation with themselves, put them in the state. So when Kimmy jumps up and down and says, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited, that's just a conversation she's having with herself. And so if you look at people who are in a funk, what you'll find is they've been having a conversation that sounds like, I'm in a funk, I deserve to be in a funk. The world is a funk, the world's out to get me, it's not fair, and I can't, I tried and I can't, and it's not going to work, and nobody likes me, and nobody listens to me, and this is funk. It's all a conversation. So the question you want to ask somebody, regardless of what their state is what's the conversation you've been having with yourself that led you to this state? So somebody says, I'm sad. So I might ask them, well, what happened? What are you sad about? And so look for the what happened, look for the conversation. Just, I'm not going to go into depth here, but just uncover it. And, just get a sense of, like, how did they get to that place? Like, where are they at? And what's the conversation they had to get to that place? And then a next inquiry, like the second inquiry, this isn't like there's only 4 and they're always in this order. I'm just giving you 4 this morning for you to play with. The second inquiry is, what is their vision? And, I think most of you have a sense of what vision is about and the connection between vision and self-motivation and how important it is to understand what your vision is. But most people that you're going to coach, at least in the moment that you're coaching them, they're not going to have a clear understanding of vision and self-motivation, or they just work their way out of it using those tools. So if you ask people what their vision is, and you carefully craft those questions so that you draw a distinction between what they want their vision to be and what their vision really is. So if you ask people what their vision is, what you're almost always going to get from people is what they want their vision to be. So you could ask somebody who's in a funk, well, what's your vision? And they would tell you, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to be the greatest, and I want to be on top, and I want to rank advance, and I want to build a business, and I want to lose weight, and I want to do all this stuff, right? And so they think that's their vision, and that's one of the big traps that keeps people stuck, is not understanding the distinction between what your vision is and what you want your vision to be. So one of the ways that you can get access to a person's vision and shine light on it for them. So I'm going to ask you, so what is your vision? Say, oh, it's all these great things. I want to do all these great things. And then I would ask, okay, so tell me this. What have you been doing to make that happen for, let's say, the last 90 days? So you might ask in front of that, okay, so I get all that stuff that you want to do. So what do you need to be doing every day to make that happen? And so what you find out is they haven't been doing what they need to do every day to make that happen. And so then what you can like shed light on is, you know, look, Mary, I know you want to create all that stuff, and let me introduce a distinction to you that that's the vision you want to have. What we need to get access to is what's the vision you actually have. And one of the key distinctions I got from Lou Tice, which is in my book Mach 2, is that we all have visions. It's not a matter of getting a vision. Nobody needs to get a vision. Everybody's already got a vision. So you got a vision about your relationship with your spouse, your health, your business, everything. You've already got one. You might as well have it written down word for word. You might as well have pictures of it all over your house. You might as well have a movie of it. You might as well study it 50 times a day, because you actually do. And so if you can like shed light on that distinction for people and say, okay, I get that's what you want your vision to be, but maybe it would be valuable for us to look at what is your vision that's actually driving you. So what have you been doing the last 90 days? What do you need to be doing, and what have you been doing? And what that allows people to see is, oh my gosh, I'm not doing anything moving in the right direction, right? So let's look at the conversation. What's the conversation behind not being on track, not doing what you know you need to do? And what you'll find is this conversation, which is actually a vision that sounds like, I can't do it, it's not going to work, it's too much work, I don't have time, nobody will listen, all of that. And then if you like make the point, Mary, that conversation, that's the truth, that's the vision, that's what you hold as inevitable. And draw that powerful distinction. Another huge distinction I got from Lou Tice is the difference between what we want and what we expect. And we don't ever move powerfully towards what we want unless we also expect it. And we move towards things we expect whether we want them or not. And you look in your life at all the things that you've manifested that you didn't want. How did that happen? It's because the universe doesn't care what you and I want. That's completely oblivious to what you and I want. It cares deeply about what we expect, and it manifests that. It surrounds it, swirls it. It puts all those opportunities in front of us. Those are all the green lights. All the creative interpretations and green lights come from what we expect. And they might be green lights to curl up on the couch and suck our thumb and feel sorry for us. Those are green lights too. So you want to find out what people's vision is, what the truth is, and one of the greatest ways to get access to it, and why I coach people so insistently on keeping their stats, is if you just ask people, so what are your stats? And, you know, that's just like the record of what you've been doing every day in relation to what you need to be doing. And then the third inquiry is, well, what do you want your vision to be? And, you know, some people have that pretty well down. They just haven't moved it into the expectation phase. They have it in the desire phase. But a lot of people aren't clear. So what did you do as a coach? You coach people to get motivated. And how do you get people to get motivated? You flush out their vision. You pull their vision, pull what they want out of their life out of them. And so many people are in such resignation, they're so beat down, so tired, that they gave up dreaming. They gave up with imagination. They gave up, you know, wanting to be a nurse or a fireman or, you know, an astronaut or, you know, save the world or whatever they wanted to do. They gave up on it. And so our job as a coach is to inspire them. You know, the people that say you can't motivate people don't know anything about motivation. I'm motivating you right now. Those of you that are watching this are getting motivated to coach. Drop a 9 in the comments if you're motivated to coach. 9. 9s are the new magical algorithm comment number. Drop a 9 in the comments if you're getting motivated to coach. So you just ask people, what do you want? What's important to you? If you could have anything, what would it be? Like, where would you want to go? What would you want to do? What would you want to have? Who would you want to be? Just ask those questions. Listen, listen, listen. Be totally present for people. And just keep asking the questions. Somebody says, well, I want to travel. What's the next question? Where? Oh, I want to go to Europe. What's the next question? Where? Well, I want to go to Germany. What's the next question? Where in Germany? Like, let's Google it. Let's pull it up. Let's subscribe to some newsletters that feed that visual to you. That's how you coach people to get motivated, is coach them to establish dreaming again and imagining themselves actually being there, doing it, having it, whatever it is. And you probably know this principle. It's a key principle of manifestation and motivation, is to the degree there is clarity in your vision. Clarity comes from detail. A picture is worth 1,000 words of detail. A picture is worth 1,000 words of detail. A movie is worth 1,000,000 words of detail. To the degree there's clarity, clarity comes from detail. To the degree there's clarity, the part of us that's powerful, the part of us that manifests stuff, can't tell the difference between you imagining yourself in Germany and being in Germany. And that's where motivation pours forth, is from what we expect. Like, if we expect ourselves to be in Germany, then we get to work being in Germany. And that's your job as a coach, is to pull that out. Like, ask those questions and drill deep. Somebody wants a car, what kind of car? And, then the next layer of all of that is, okay, you want to travel, you want to do all this stuff. Why? Why is that so important to you? And the why question is really what you're looking for, is how's it going to make them feel? You and I are feeling beings. Everything we do is chasing a feeling. So, if we want to feel sorry for ourselves, that's chasing a feeling. If we want drama, if we want everybody to pile on and feel sorry for us and, oh my gosh, I'm so sad, I'm so sorry that happened, we're looking for a feeling. We're looking for sympathy, right? Misery loves company. If we're on fire, then we're seeking that. We're all looking to feel a certain way. And sometimes we get addicted to the funk. And when we rise above it, we get addicted to being on fire. And the last coaching conversation is, okay, so I got a sense of where you're at. Maybe you have a sense of how you got there, because you actually have a vision to put you there. We got a sense of what your vision could be, what you want it to be, and why that's so important to you, and how that's going to make you feel. And now my job as a coach is to ask a different kind of question, which is a request. And it's a powerful request to ask somebody to do something they're not willing to ask themselves to do. Ask somebody to do something they're afraid to do. Ask somebody to do something that they generally talk themselves out of doing. Ask people to rise up and take themselves on and get into action. And the more you break this last coaching distinction down into bite-sized pieces, the more more successful you'll be. So let's say, for example, that somebody's looking to build a network marketing business. Well, it all comes down to, talking to people on a regular basis, asking people to take a look at your products and your opportunity. The people that do that every day build a business. The people that do it every other day, well, they build a little tiny business maybe. The people that do it whenever they feel like it, they're statistics. We know the statistics, right? So it could be something as simple as, okay, you want to go to Germany, you want to pay off all your debts, you want to send your kid to college, you need to make an extra $3,000 a month. That's only going to take, maybe 300 people on your team. And, the way you get 300 people on your team is you start with 3. Like, you got to get 3, or you got to get 4, or you got to get 5. So how do you get 4 or 5? We'll do 30 or 40 presentations. And how do you do 30 or 40 presentations? Well, you ask, 100, 120, 130 people if they'll let you give them a presentation. And so, but that's the elephant picture, right? But what that gets you all the way down to is, will you start today? Here's the coaching request. Okay, how you're going to get to $3,000 a month is talking to at least one person a day. That's kind of the minimum standard operating agreement. One person a day. If it's not one person a day, here's the example of, compounding the conversations. So you've all seen in the 4-year career probably the penny a day. If you double it every day for 30 days, at the end of 30 days, the penny's worth over $5 million. That's not the profound statistic in the penny doubling every day. The profound statistic is, what's the penny worth if you double it every other day? So if you double it for 15 days versus 30 days, what's it worth? Drop it in the comments. Who's the A student? Who gets the apple? What's the penny worth after 15 days? Or if you double it every other day, what's the penny worth after 30 days? Drop it in the comments. What's it worth? You get an apple. I'll send it to you in the mail. Fresh apple. Close, Marcelo. You're close. Pennies matter, Marcelo. They tell it, you got to drop a picture, Marcelo, in where are you working from? This is my buddy Marcelo who works, he's from the East Coast of the United States, but to build his network marketing business, he decided he's just going to go do it from somewhere fun. So he moved to the Dominican Republic and works off the beach every day. And he's just getting started in building his business. How courageous is that? 163.81, I think, is the answer. But I put ish. Oh, did you? Okay. So here's the point. If you talk to somebody every other day, you get the compounding effect of $163 versus $5 million. Hello. So that's why one a day is the minimum standard. Now, of course, you can negotiate and say, well, I'm going to do all my work on Saturdays. That's fine. Then you got to talk to 7 people on Saturday. And so the coaching request is me asking you. So, Mary, the only way you're going to get this ball rolling, the only way you're going to get your car over the hill is at least one conversation a day, one invite. And I'd teach her what exactly is an invite. It's not just sending a message out to somebody. It's not asking somebody if they'll take a look. You got to get a response. You got to ask somebody if they'll take a look at what you got, and you got to get a response. If you get a yes, no, or a maybe, that's an invite. In my book, minimum operating standard is one invite a day. The people that go out and make $100,000 a month, if you looked at them, they got 90 to 120 days somewhere in their history. They probably did 5 or 10 invites a day. Crazy makers, which all of us are capable of that, but you may not believe that. So just start with one. And so that's what I mean by the bite-sized request. You don't have to ask someone to, okay, go out and make that $3,000 a month. Do what you got to do. All you got to ask them to do is, are you willing to do one invite a day? And let's take it one day at a time. So are you willing to do it today? And then tomorrow I'll ask the same question. Are you willing to do it tomorrow? Like I'm your training wheels as a coach. Sometimes you got to coach people down to that level. Sometimes you can say, hey, the request is, will you do 7 in a row? Will you do 7 days in a row? And then let's check in a week. And then there's another concept around this that I really like too, is to take the month, the calendar month, and pull out of that calendar month 10 consecutive days. 10 consecutive days and do a burst. This works for a lot of people. A lot of people look at their calendar, they look at what has to be done, they look at that one invite a day, and they go, you know what, I can do that for a week, but I just don't see keeping that up for a month. Something's going to distract me. Chaos happens, life happens, and they're right, it does. And if the invite is not the most important thing you're doing every day in your mind, then it's not going to get done. So for a lot of people, it would really work for me. A 10-day burst works. What does that look like? Well, if you need to invite 30 people a month, that's one a day. Find 10 consecutive days. They have to be consecutive. Consecutive days in your calendar. First 10, middle 10, last 10. And that's your burst 10 days of the month. And so in that 10-day period, you invite 30 people. And what do you do the other 20 days of the month? Just clean up your mess, which, this is the invite is the hardest part, because you have to initiate that from your own pure motivation, Forget commitment and discipline. They're for people who aren't motivated. If you're on fire, you don't need discipline. You don't need commitment. Those are concepts, bankrupt concepts. They are only applicable to people who are in a funk and are trying to like grind their way out of a funk. The way you grind your way out of a funk is take a look at your vision, reestablish your vision, get into where you want to invite. And then what do? The other 20 days when somebody says, hey, yeah, show it to me. Give me a presentation. Well, do you need to find time to give somebody a presentation if they want a presentation? No, you clear your calendar. Are you kidding? All right, let's do a presentation. Somebody says, well, I want to sign up. You go, oh, gee, as soon as I can sign you up is, late May because I'm so busy with all my stuff. No, if somebody wants to sign up, you clear your calendar and you sign them up. So the hardest part of making this whole thing work is the part where you're initiating all of the energy, all of the effort, all of the motive, and that's the invite. The other 20 days a month, you just clean up your mess by doing presentations people ask you to do and enrolling people that ask you to enroll them. So think about the 10-day burst. Anyway, the concept of all of this is when you get people clear about what they want, create a plan and ask them to execute the plan. And then create a relationship with them where you're there to champion with them. Could be something as simple as asking them, hey, send me a message every night about the people you talk to. Who you talked to, what you said, what they said, they didn't even reply, whatever. Send me a recap every night. That's a coaching relationship. Or maybe it's once a week. You have a call and you recap all those conversations. Maybe they send you their stats. Somebody can drop in the comments the Bliss Business Stat Tracker. One of the most powerful coaching tools there is. If the people that you're coaching will keep their stats, boy, they almost don't even need you to have a conversation with them. So James, yeah, it's accountability. For sure, it is accountability. I like the word, James, champion instead of accountability, because you know how people respond to being held accountable? Feels like, somebody's got you down and they get their knee on the back of your neck. Nobody likes that. What the accountability coaching process is championing people. It's saying, hey, will you do this? And they say, yes, I'll do it. Great. Let's celebrate every night. Send me your conversations. Let's celebrate every week. I'm your biggest fan. Let's make this work. And, when people don't do what they say they're going to do, there's no cheese down the tunnel of asking them why they didn't. So you got a relationship with somebody. They say they're going to talk to one person a day, and you talk to them a week later. How many people did you talk to last week? 2. You can ask what happened, but all you're going to get's a story, right? You're just going to get this big old story about I started off like gangbusters, and then the cat got sick, and then my kid puked, and then my husband was late for work, and I got busy, and I didn't do it. Well, that's the story. You know what? And I don't care about the story. If somebody died, okay, I care about the story. All the rest of it is just circumstance. It's just life. And you made life more important than your dream. And I get that. Most people do. But I'm not interested in the story. I'm only interested in your champion about whether or not you did or you didn't. So if you say you're going to talk to one person a day and I'm your coach and we have an accountability call, I'm only interested in whether you did or you didn't. I'm not interested in the story at all. None of it. No drama, no pity party. You're not sucking me into that deal. There's a great quote. It's like something like, I'm not your clown and this isn't my circus or something like that. All I'm interested in is did you or didn't you? And if you didn't, the next question is, will you tomorrow? That's it. Past is past. Old news is old news. Story is story. Will you tomorrow? I'm your champion. Did you or didn't you? Will you tomorrow? Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Hey, thanks for joining me for this coaching conversation. We're in the foothills below Yosemite National Park in Central California. I grew up partly in these foothills. And I love spending the month of April here. It's where I regenerate and get focused and recreate for the whole year. And it's part of my Ina. I got Ina in Lanai, Hawaii, and I got Ina in Wildcat Station, California, which is a stage stop. right up the hill here. Over and out.